There is only one thing. You can learn to play the piano on your own, or you can have a teacher. You can have a teacher who's very proficient, or you can have a teacher who's young, novice, and very hopeful. If you have a very proficient teacher, they won't have very much patience for your nonsense. They want to give you the lessons. They want to make sure you go home and you practice those lessons, so when you come back to them the following day, that you know your lessons well, that their time is not wasted, their energy is not wasted, their hopes and dreams are not wasted on you. So you need to have someone, first of all, defining happiness for you. Now, you're not going to buy their definition of happiness unless you are slightly attracted to them. That's the first thing. You can't pursue anything, you can't want anything, you can't need anything if there is no attraction. You need to be attracted to them. Now, if the thing you're attracted to contradicts basically the foundation of your life, your belief systems, the way you feel about things, let's say, for example, you just don't like your father. And let's say you're going to come to this class, and today's conversation is about how to overcome hate, how to overcome anger. And we say a couple of things, and you become very attracted to the things that we talk about. But you see, just because you're attracted, it doesn't mean that you're going to change the way you think about your father, because you have a 20-year history with that emotion, with the person who has given rise to that emotion. You're attracted to forgiveness, but just because you're attracted doesn't mean you can pursue it. The higher calling is, yeah, I want to forgive. You should listen to that, but you can't. Even though you want to, you won't be allowed. Because that's a brand new seed, that's a brand new person coming out of you saying, I should forgive my father because I'm beginning to understand his past. I'm beginning to understand his history. And he couldn't have done what he did. He was a drunk. He violated every law that he should have upheld as a father. He was just a scumbag. So what needs to happen then is you have a couple of options. Continue living with anger, and that's going to leak into every relationship you'll ever walk into. It's never going to disappear. And just because you happen to be in a good relationship for a couple of months, it doesn't mean it's going to last. It won't. Because the very foundation of who and what you are is someone who's cracked, who's broken. And you're going to impose that brokenness onto everything that you touch. Forgiveness is the glue, but it can't be this pathetic forgiveness, It's not, you can't be like John the Baptist. I'm going to baptize you with water. What is that going to do? You need to be baptized with fire, and that's going to burn you. Another trauma in your life. So, I have my own biases. Can I overcome them? You can't. Because this higher calling is only maybe, 5, 10, 20 minutes. It's on a Monday. Your bias is about a 20-year history. There is no way you can overcome it. It's impossible. So the higher calling, after this class, you'll be inspired. And you'll pick up the phone, and you go to the contact list, and then you click on Dad. And there is this powerful temptation. Should I click it? Should I call him? And you do. This higher self, which is really nothing but this is an inspired moment. It's not seasoned, it's not mature. It's raw, it's uncooked, it's wild. You call him, and he says, who are you? I am your daughter. Oh, what do you want? And you say, I knew that was a mistake. You hang up. And you go back to the biases. And then you continue living the way you've lived for the past many, many years until you get to be 40, 50, 60, 70, after going through 20 years of therapy, being on medication, reading a lot of self-help books, listening to a lot of YouTube clips. And then your father is dead, your mother is dead, you're all alone. And you kind of like Job, look at your life and it's completely ruined. You have nothing. I mean, you may have a lot of good things, but you just have nothing. There's a good amount of poverty on the inside that makes everything that you have on the outside meaningless. The short cut is the following. Instead of going through this yo-yo syndrome, sometimes good, most often bad, give your life to someone who has inspired the concept of forgiveness. You're not going to understand. You're not going to apply it. And there are many good days where you would just want to walk away and never see that person ever again. So you can continue to be in the cradle of your own biases, your own anger, the emotions you feel most comfortable. Try to resist. you probably won't be able to unless you have a support system. If you don't have a support system, it's nearly impossible to overcome anything that's negative. So imagine, and this is a hypothetical scenario, imagine that I happen to be the person who inspires this higher self. And you and your life and your friends and everyone in your life happens to nourish the lower self. The lower self is you just continue to behave like an infant. You feel entitled to your emotions, you feel entitled to your anger. I'm not saying you don't have the right to them. I'm not saying that you don't have any right to be angry at your father for him not being there. That's not the point. Because this is no longer about your dad. It's about the emotions connected to your dad that's now toxifying your life. But all the anger you have in you has to do with the foundation. So without understanding the foundation, you can't get over the 20-year history that you have with the emotions. Let's say, so I am that person who creates this higher self for just 4 or 5 minutes. There's a good chance you want to run away, drop the class, or file a complaint. Or you can most likely find ways to disagree with the things I say. Fine. But imagine there is a temptation that you want to come to the office, and you do, and we sit and we talk. Remember, if that initial attraction isn't there, there isn't much you can do. And even if I was old, ugly, profoundly physically unattractive, my ideas and the way you hear the ideas will give you the power to overcome what you see. All of a sudden, I may be physically unattractive, but my emotions, my thought process is so beautiful that you don't see the ugliness. You need that. A couple of things can happen or need to happen for this shortcut to take place. Otherwise, you're on your own. So this is you, or anyone who fits. Let's just say this is John, whoever John is. And this is Amir, okay? There needs to initially be an attraction. This attraction is the fuel that pushes you to Amir's office. You knock on the door and you sit. Now, after class, of course, what happens is you want to listen to the higher self, but you can't. You know, you want to keep it right in the foreground throughout the day, but the day has its troubles. Your biases are like thieves. They come down and destroy it. So your self-esteem, your self-image kind of is broken down a little bit. And then you come to the office and they say, I really like what you said. I tried to do it. I wasn't successful. Is there a shortcut? And I say, well, what other classes are you taking? Well, I'm taking 5 other classes. I said, well, drop them. Or at least stay in them, but plagiarize your way through those classes. Only focus on my class. Now, this is a narrative that exists in her culture and in my culture. It doesn't exist in your culture, which means the following. At first, you're attracted. The attraction makes you a little curious. Why am I attracted to him? Now, because again, you are missing a good and healthy chunk of narrative, you probably say to yourself, do I like him like that? You try to romanticize this tiny seed of a relationship. That's what usually happens in the Western culture. So as you continue coming to class, you become very, very interested. So if you've been shy, sitting in the back, never raising your hand, all of a sudden your hand goes up and you begin to ask questions. Why? The attraction creates a good amount of comfortability. You feel at ease when you come here. You feel comfortable when you come here. So what happens? The shyness goes away and you ask questions. And even though sometimes I use satire, I make fun of you, I maybe laugh at your expense, but you know that I'm not mean-spirited. So you keep asking your questions because you're interested. And then what happens is you go home and you talk to your friends about our conversation. Maybe you go to the library and check out some books. Maybe you buy some books from Amazon. Maybe you ask for people's numbers from this class and you call them or you text them. So what do you think about today's conversation? And then little by little you realize you find yourself infatuated. Remember, you are 20, I'm 60. In the 60-year-old body, you have ideas and you have emotions. And you like the ideas and the emotions. So you're not attracted to the body alone. You're attracted to what lives inside the body. Now, infatuation is a very, very dangerous place because now you can't focus on your other classes. Now you can't focus on your other relationships. And whenever you are with other people, what you do is you bring up the conversations you have in your classes. And you know what you do? When your friends are trying to have fun, you ruin it for them. You force them to ask big questions. You force them to have these emotions that they're not used to and they're not comfortable. And soon you realize that little by little they stop calling you. They stop hanging out with you. Because the only thing that you do for them is that you poop on their party. And their infatuation turns into obsession. We come to class, and at every class meeting, your hand goes up. You monopolize the entire space. It's like you don't see anybody else in this classroom. It's just you and me. That's it. And just in case you ask a question and she says, "Can I answer that?" something about you just storms out saying, "I'm not interested in what you have to say." Now, usually you're very gentle, you're very respectful, nice to other people, but obsession turns into a beast, inside you. The only person's ideas that you care for is me and no other. Obsession gets you really, really confused. Why do I go there? Why do I like him? Why do I care for his ideas? I'm 20, he's 60. These are the things that people usually think about. And then one day you come to my office and your voice is shaking a little and you say, "Amir, I don't really know how to tell you this. What is it?" "I love you." That's really good. See, maybe I should say you love 20-year-olds. You love 25-year-olds, maybe even 30-year-olds. And you like them for their bodies. For the first time, you fall in love with a 60-year-old man. Maybe you don't even like men, but you slowly begin to love him. But this particular love, you have romanticized it. What am I going to do with this emotion? Can't sleep. He's married. He's got kids. He's my professor. I love him. What should I do? This is the first stage. And remember now, when you say you love someone, initially there's a good amount of trust in it. There's a good amount of faith in it. And something about you submits. You surrender. I need this. I need this submission. Because in love, there is always this power dynamic. Whenever you fall in love with anyone, always one person has more power than the other. Always. It is never equal. Now you better hope to God or pray to God that the person who has power over you is somewhat decent, not completely corrupt. Because if they are, they will use that power and they will exploit the hell out of you in a very, very negative and nasty way. And you need therapy after that. Now this doesn't mean that if you run into Jesus Christ, you won't need therapy after, because you probably will. Now, what happens in the first scenario is the first, I suppose, shade of love is called eros. It's powerful, it's intense, and it's extremely physical. Now, by physical, I mean the following. We have this poem in Persian. گفتم دل و جان بر سر کارت کردم هر چیز که داشتم نثارت کردم گفتا تو که باشی که کنی یا نکنی این من بودم که بیقرارت کردم. Imagine you come to my office and you say, I have given you everything. You have my mind, you have my emotions, and I have all these ideas and I have all these emotions. What should I do with them? And I look at you and I say, In man budam ke biqararat kardam. The ideas or the thoughts you have, my creation. The emotions you have, my creation. They're not yours, they're mine. Let me do with them what I please. They're not yours to keep, and they're not yours to play with. They're my creation. So the first part is eros, is that you need, or you come to class all the time. You text me all the time. You email me all the time. And when Wednesday comes, you come to class, you're happy, but you're also depressed because there is no class Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have to wait 4 days. And these are not 4 short days. They are 4 long days. You come to class, you're happy, you don't know why, even though the ideas we talk about are quite miserable. You come to this class and you're happy in misery. You leave the class knowing that you have to wait 4 days before we see each other again. And you're really, really sad and sorrowful. Now, if you can survive this desert, because remember, human beings desire power. Without power, you can't control your life. It's impossible. The moment you lose power, and one of the things about love is that you see your own identity within another. In other words, I don't know if any of you guys in this class have ever been in a relationship for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and all of a sudden, he or she looks at you and says, I bought myself a nice little dog. I don't want to be with you anymore. And you say, you're telling me that you want to be with a dog and not me? That's exactly what I'm telling you. And so you pack your stuff and you leave, but you have no idea where to go. You have no idea who you are, what you are. You have identified yourself being a companion, seeing a house, seeing your room, seeing your closet, seeing this guy or this gal in this space every single day for the past 5 years. And all of a sudden, you find yourself in a strange place. You're a stranger to yourself. You have no idea what to do with the volcanoes of emotions and thoughts that are going through you. You're sad, you're depressed, you're angry, you're looking for answers. You can't sleep, you can't eat. People call you and say, let's go have coffee. You say, no, I don't really want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear your voice. You can't even stand to see your own face. What exactly is it that you're giving me? You're giving me your body in the office. You're giving me your body in the classroom. You're sending me texts. You're sending me emails. You're just giving me physical things. But you see, you came here with a set of questions. You have given me your submission, but submission of your physical body only, and some pathetic, romanticized, infantile emotions. I want to move you up to this other place called philo. Philo is a different kind of love. I don't want to just come to class, raise your hand and ask questions. I need you to be able to listen, to hear, and then listen to the messages upon hearing. And the moment you raise your hand, you say, are you telling me that if I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H will be obtained? I'm saying, I just ask you to listen. Give me your mind, don't think. Let me just pour in their information. But I feel all the stuff. I don't care what you feel. Don't tell me your feelings, don't express your feelings. Just sit quietly, give me your mind, just let me season it. There is the story, it's about the chicken. The chicken is swimming in this pot of water, and the cook turned the stove on. The chicken comes up and says, you know, the water is getting really hot. I'm not feeling too hot right now, too good right now. Can you maybe lower the temperature? Plus, why the hell is the stove on? And the cook looks at the chicken and says, look at you. You look bad, you smell bad, most likely you taste bad. If you let me, you know, I'll make you look good and taste good and smell good. The chicken, very arrogant, and is very upset by what the cook has said. Goes to the bottom of the pot and says, how dare the cook telling me I look bad and I taste bad? I'm a chicken, I look great. You know, but then he has a moment where there is this opening where he says, what if the cook is right? What if I really smell bad? What if I look bad and taste bad? And in this moment of grace, I suppose, he comes up to the cook and says, so if I say yes to everything you've said, that I look bad and smell bad and taste bad, what are you going to do? And the cook says, well, I'm going to cut up some onions and tomatoes and potatoes and this and that, put some salt and pepper and turmeric. I'm going to turn up the stove, you know, turn up the heat. And then I'm going to cover the pot. And after like 5 hours, you look good. You'll smell good and you'll taste good. And chicken goes to the bottom of the pot and thinks, I've been this way for the past 20 years. I haven't gotten anywhere being the way I've been. Maybe I should give myself to the cook. And the chicken does. 5 hours later, the chicken looks at himself or herself and says, man, I really look good, smell good and taste good. And that's the thing, that all of us in this class are very much like chickens. And we imagine ourselves to look good. You know, sometimes when I go to Costco or when you go to Safeway and you look around and people just look unattractive, you know, and you look at your companion or you think to yourself, do I look as bad as those other people? And the answer is yes. You look far worse. Now, philo is this. I'm no longer interested in you just coming to class. I want to make sure that you're paying attention. And I want to make sure that your attention is not being corrupted by the things you think about or you've been thinking about for the past 20 years and feeling about. You will try to understand the things we'll talk about. And in your attempt to understand, you will corrupt what they've been talking about. So I have to make sure you don't think about those things. Now, what's going to happen is little by little, as I occupy more space inside you, there is less of you inside you and more of me inside you. You're going to be angry, you're going to be confused, very much like the past 50, 60,000 years of us being here. You will try to attempt to have power over your life, your thoughts, your emotions, but no, they are mine. You can't have power over them. And it's going to create another desert for you. You have to live with confusion, with anger. You will try to ask questions from your friends, from your parents, but they're not going to be of much help. And then you're going to feel something really, really strange about yourself. You're going to say, for the past 20 years, I give 25% of me to another, and I'll keep the 75% of me to myself. Just in case the relationship doesn't work, I won't be completely broken. In this scenario, you know what you experience now. You have given me 80% of yourself, and you only have 20% of you to you. That's scary. I have so much power over you. I don't care for your physical body. I don't care for the way you think. I don't care for your history. I don't care about anything about you. The only thing now I care about is how much of me is there inside you. And that's scary for you. You've never been in this position. Now you don't have any power. Most often what usually happens is people simply leave. They try to reclaim who they've always been, sort of infants with their childish thinkings and emotions. Now, if you're able to stay in the philo stage for about 5, 10, 15, 20 years, if you're lucky, and I'm not sure how this happens, you get to the third and final stage. It's called agape. It's usually referred to as this, I don't know, you merging with God, but all of us in this class are allergic to religion and God and those things. So let's remove God and let's replace the word God with this. You really, really begin to understand. How do you understand? Here, you only gave me your body. Here, you were able to give me your mind, for me to season your mind and also your soul. Here, agape, you no longer need me. You no longer need to come to class. You no longer need to keep in touch with me. You know the saying, the kingdom of God lives inside you? The understanding or the happiness or the liberation from misery that you've always desired, always wanted, always pursued, it now lives inside you. Now you can observe things for yourself. But now you begin to have this understanding based on observation because of the tools you have received from coming to class, coming to the office, coming to the house, and our interaction. You get to see things through my eyes. But now you improvise. You're a woman, you're an American woman in the 21st century from a very, very specific history, but you won't allow those things to contaminate you. Your powers of observation stands on the top. You're able to look down, process everything. It's what we call ishq dar daryai gham ghamnak neest. You know, for someone who is sad, who is depressed, it could lead them to paralysis. They'll probably just shut the curtains, they won't leave the house, they won't talk to anyone. They'll probably get chronically depressed. They'll either end their life, go on medication, do lots of drugs. If on the other hand, you're like Khalil Gibran, what you do, you take your sorrow, your grief, you lock yourself in your room, you grab a pen and a notepad, and you begin to write poetry. If you know how to write poetry, then grief can be a source of creativity. If you don't have that tool, it can lead you to despair.